Hi, welcome to the Empower Amsterdam and Empowerment Live Talks. This is Empower Your Career. My name is Shay Hardy. I am the founder and co-founder and managing director of Empower Amsterdam and Empowerment.work. And today we're going to talk about becoming a boss. And I have some special guests with us today who are going to share their experiences and their challenges and also what they learned from starting their own business. And first, I'd like to introduce Alex Damon, Jamala Shetty, and Justine Fry.
Hello.
Hey, welcome, everyone. Welcome.
Thank you.
This is a kind of interesting topic because I work with entrepreneurs on how they start their business, and it's always a challenging conversation because there's a lot of fear around starting your own business and what goes into it. If you make a mistake, what if you're not successful? All those things that kind of stop people from moving forward with their dream of owning their own business. And I was wondering if we could start off by telling the audience who's here and watching how you started up with your own business journey and where it is now. And maybe we could start with Jamala.
Yeah. So, okay, it's been a long journey. The current business is not my first business, but then I tried my hands at a lot of things, and that time I was working as well. So leaving the job, the set income was really scary. But last year, I decided that I wanted to take this plunge and quit my job, completely focus on the business. And that is how I started Schwan, which is a business consulting services, a consultancy basically. It's not been a smooth ride, I must say, but it's been a fun ride.
Okay. And Alexis.
Sure. Also, for me, it's not my first business. I actually started my first business in 2015, in the beginning of 2015. I worked in fashion for a number of years, for like 8 or 9 years, and then I started my own brand, my clothing brand. And I did that for about 3 years, and ultimately decided to close up that business. It wasn't really making the money I needed, I guess you can say. And then I shifted from there, using all of the skills that I had learned from working on that business, into freelancing as a digital marketer. And only offered a few services in the beginning. And then over time, it's been like 2 years since I started doing that. Over time, I started offering more and more services, getting more and more clients. And then eventually, like, I guess now I'm sort of a boutique agency type setup where I have a few freelancers that help me with some of the projects that I have. But yeah, I still have a long ways to go, and I'm always, kind of hustling to get new clients, and it's very up and down. It really depends on what's going on that month, or, that quarter, or that sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Justine?
I think I have always had it in me to be a freelancer. I remember finishing university and just kind of being left after training in the dance industry. You just kind of left to figure it out by yourself. And so with that, I was freelance, and I had a job, and I discovered that I'd be better off if I was freelance, financially, and also flexibility and everything else. So I quit the job and became full-time freelance. And then with that experience, I put it all together to building a business in 2018. And although it's part of a franchise, I've learned a lot about myself and running a business and the challenges that it takes to actually put together and make it successful. So lots of different experiences, but it's an exciting journey, and it's nice to know where it could lead to.
Yeah. I just realized all three of you started with one kind of thing one kind of career, so to speak, and then went through some kind of transition. I don't know what, probably something different for all of you. And now you've arrived at a new thing, what the latest thing that you're doing. What, maybe you can share a little bit about what made you jump from one thing to the next? Like what was the catalyst? What pushed you? What was it like, I'm done with this, time for another thing? Or maybe Alexis, you could start us off this time.
Yeah, sure. For me, I mean, it was primarily a financial thing, to be honest. With my clothing brand, I just like couldn't get my growth past a certain point, basically. I was self-funded, so it's like I didn't have a lot of funds to help me grow and to spend on sales and marketing. So it's like after you buy the inventory, you're kind of like, okay, there's not much left to spend on the sales and the marketing. So yeah, ultimately it was really a matter of like crunching numbers and looking at it and saying, okay, how much do I need to sell to actually make money? And what do I need to spend to get there? And at that point I kind of realized like, this maybe isn't really worth it anymore. It was actually a really hard decision. Because if you start any company, like it's sort of an extension of you and you like pour yourself into it. So I definitely think, it was really financial. It was hard. I was like super invested in it, like emotionally, and spent so much time and learned so much. So yeah, that was when I decided. And then I kind of needed a little bit of a break. I was burned out and I just sort of was looking for things that I can do in the meantime to sort of keep going. And I actually started to do some freelance content writing for Shopify, which is an e-commerce platform, which I used for my business, my store. So it kind of like shifted that way. And then I realized, I really like that I can work freelance. I like that I can do this from anywhere. It's digital. What else can I do that I've already been doing for my business that I can help and apply to other businesses? And that's kind of how I shifted into like working on digital marketing as my main sort of job, I guess. Yeah.
It seems like it made logical sense. So you transitioned into retail or e-commerce rather, and then moved into the other end of the digital marketing. It makes sense.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, my background was more in the product development and manufacturing side of things when it comes to apparel. So I had to teach myself all of the marketing and the digital and all of that. So it's kind of funny now how I've shifted into that. But I mean, after doing it for 4 years on my own and kind of teaching myself everything, it's like
you become an expert.
Yeah.
I can relate to that. I didn't have any experience running a business or marketing or any sort of promotion or anything like that. And I can see the development that I've done over the past 2 years in comparison to when I was just little old me in London trying to make it. It's definitely motivation when you can see the personal development, I think.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah, even I kind of had a similar journey. I actually started a dating website, like the traditional dating thing. And I did for 2 years, single-handedly developing the website, marketing, building up the databases, and doing a lot of things.
Yeah, right.
And I thought at the end of it that the results were not as much as I expected. And I really tried hard to get investors as well, but it was not working for me. So after 2 years, I decided that I wanted to kind of close that thing and move to something else. But as Alexis said, it actually led me into this business that I'm currently doing because I developed my marketing skills and networking skills and those things. Plus, I realized that rather than kind of improving my business, I could help other businesses improve. I probably have that skill better. So yeah, it kind of led me into this.
And Justine, how did you transition?
I guess because of the dance industry, you're expected to be freelance. That's just how it is. And so, like I said, I finished university and I was just left out in the real world trying to figure it out. And I did a number of freelance jobs, and I was also event manager and project manager for a lot of community organizations and charity organizations and things like this. And at the time I thought, oh yeah, well, it's just some more experience. It's not really what I want to be doing, but I didn't know what it was that I wanted to be doing. And then I ended up in a job and I realized that actually confining myself in other people's ways is really not how I like to work. I definitely enjoy a bit more flexibility and freedom. And then when I figured out financially I'd be better off if I was freelance rather than commuting 3 hours a day to a job that was good for the experience but not for my mental well-being, I just got up the courage to try it out, and it worked well if that's all I wanted, but I knew I wanted more, and that I didn't really fit into the lifestyle in London, so I transitioned to Amsterdam, and because of my experience with being freelance, I thought, let me give it a go here, and 2 years later we're still going strong. So
that's nice.
Yeah.
I want to invite anyone who's watching us live now that you can write into the comments any questions, or if you want to share your own story, please do so. Join the conversation. We'd love to hear from you and what your experience is. And if you have any questions, let us know. Something you said just triggered me. It was about, oh dear, what did you just say? How do you know that you're ready to start your own business? How do you know? Did you have something that what made you say, I am ready to now, right now, this moment, it's time?
I think it depends on your surroundings and your experience, but there is nothing stopping anybody from starting a business. And that's something I've learned more recently, that if you have an idea, then it's only you that is stopping it from actually happening. And the tools that you learn of actually making it happen and making it successful, you learn along the way. And I've learned that that's actually okay as part of the journey of being a business owner. You don't need to know it all. I've learned a lot just by being open and willing to learn. And I think it's more exciting if it's your own. Then you invest in a lot more and you get out a lot more as well. There's many highs and lows as we all know, but it's nice to have something that's yours, that you're responsible for, and you can see the growth. And if you're passionate about it, it will just happen.
Right.
I agree with that. I think that, in most cases, what's holding you back may be yourself. Like, you kind of just need to start. For me, I mean, I'm kind of a bit more of like an impulsive person, so I think it works for me. Like, I get an idea and I'm just like, okay, I'm going to put up a website and see what happens. In some cases, of course, but then I think there needs to be, I guess, some sort of general plan or idea of, some goals of what you hope to achieve and that sort of thing. But I think writing out like a big, long business plan is, in the beginning, not necessarily, I mean, not my approach personally. Of course, that might be a good approach for other types of businesses. But for me, it's like, just start with something that you can get off the ground to at least just test before you're investing more time and energy and possibly money in it. And then if you see that, people like the idea, or that you're getting some traction, and you may learn like how to change it slightly and then kind of go from there, I think is like my mentality for that.
Yeah. I would say though, when people told me, "Oh, just start, just do it," I always say, "But how? And where? And what? And with who?" And you make all these questions, and it's true, because I've got another idea that's just come up, and I'm like, "Oh, I'd love to start, but where do I start?" But I guess it's learning and being adaptable, that you can't make all the plans now. You just have to get some sort of action going, and then the rest of the inspiration or whatever, I guess, comes with it. And trial and error, can't go wrong.
Trial and error. You see what sticks, and then you kind of go more with that, and then you'll see the next thing that sticks, and then continue with that. Yeah.
What about you, Jamala?
For me, I think that will to have something of your own, because I was working in the corporate world for like over 10 years, and I just kept thinking to myself that, okay, I want to start something of my own, but never could get that courage. So I used to do side hustles all the time, but to kind of commit to myself saying that, okay, whether I win it or I lose it, I'm going to own it up. Let
Hmm.
me at least give it a try rather than just fearing the result.
Yeah.
And having tried it, I feel that it's actually a journey and you learn a lot
Mm,
more when
Yeah.
you actually step in.
mm,
Yeah. I love that. So there are a lot of people who try to do side hustle, right? So this is, I think, a nice in between step, and it's something I recommend to people who are already in the corporate world or already have a 9 to 5 job. That if you can kind of test out what you want to do on the side and see how it works before you make the leap. Like what kind of challenges did you have doing the side hustle?
So for me, it was like I really couldn't give it the amount of time that it needed, because
Mm.
it's like you're building something from scratch. So you have to give it a lot of time, energy, love. So that was something that kind of was missing in my case.
Yeah.
And then because my job was the main money maker, it always took priority.
Yeah.
So that's something that I think suffered when I was doing these side hustles.
mm.
Yeah. We have a question in, yeah, from
Yeah.
New. Hey, New, thanks for joining us. I'm just going to read the question. When you decide to start your own business, aren't you afraid of risking the stable monthly paychecks for something unpredictable? Oh, hell yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
I'll answer that one. I'll go for that one. A monthly paycheck. I can't remember the last time I had a monthly paycheck. And it, of course, it's nice for the stability, but I think it's a personality and mentality thing. If you can be resourceful and proactive and use your energy in other ways, and your livelihood is stable enough for you to put your energy into things that you truly believe in, I think that for me is far more worth value than a monthly paycheck.
Yeah.
I think for me, I kind of tried because I had already decided that I wanted to do something of my own, and this side hustle thing wasn't working. I was putting aside money as my safety net,
Mm.
so that when I quit my job and then I get into this, so I kind of saved up for like 6 months of my livelihood. It's not always easy, but then I kind of would recommend if you're really scared of the monthly income, because when you start in businesses, you don't know. Like you can probably make money from day one, or you'll have to wait probably for a year to actually make money. So put aside some cash for yourself so that you can take care of the expenses and don't have kind of monthly problems when you have to pay your utility bills and stuff like that.
I was definitely a lot more naive and spontaneous than being prepared with savings when I moved to Amsterdam. I think I shared my story with Alexis earlier. I had
200, yeah.
200 euros. That was my last bit of pay,
Well,
and I didn't have a job, and I didn't have an apartment, and I knew that I could teach, and I knew that I could organize events. So I just believed in myself, and that was how I made it. And I feel like if there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
Also, if
Agree.
you don't have something to fall back onto, maybe you're kind of just forced to like get it together, and you're like, okay, I need to make this next,
I did the same when I moved to London. I moved without a job. I just wanted to be there. I thought if you make the action, it's the same starting a business. If you make the action, then everything else is kind of forced to happen.
you have to figure it out. Yeah.
Otherwise, you're left, well, for me anyway, you're left dwelling or questioning or, oh, but I've got a whole pot of money to fall back on. I don't need to run my own business.
So what do you do when you have those self-doubts? Like when I started my own business and I had self-doubts and I started questioning if I was doing the right thing, I'd always run back and get another contract job or something, maybe sometimes a permanent job, just because I would get nervous or scared. But what did you guys do? How did you manage your self-doubts and to overcome it?
I mean, I still sometimes have those moments where I'm like, maybe it would just be easier to work full time, have some stability, this sort of thing. And I even sometimes might even look around, oh, who's hiring? What are they hiring for? But in most cases, I kind of, it might be a day that, I have a bad day, or I send out a proposal to a client and nothing comes from it. Or, it's like kind of a day when I'm just like, oh, this is not working. But then usually I always fall back to like, no, that's not what works for me. Like, I like to have my freedom. I like to, have more choice in when I'm working and what I'm working on. Yeah.
I think the sea of emotions that you go through, like some days you're all pumped up and positive. I'm going to change the world.
Every day is like a roller coaster, and especially Corona.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's for me, the self-doubts definitely come into play when it's been initiated by something else or someone else.
Yeah.
And that's where you start to question yourself. And it's like little voices, oh, you can't do this, or you shouldn't do that, or why don't you do it like this, or maybe you do need a more permanent income and things like this. I think it's just my personality though. I'm stubborn and I want to do what I believe in for the greater good, whether that's running a small business or just doing things that make me happy. So we do have good days and bad days. I think that's just the life of a freelancer and an entrepreneur, and that's just how it is. But then what I've learned from Empower is if you embrace the good days as much as you do the bad days, then it makes it a lot easier to process and to find a balance.
I think you also kind of learn to plan for them as well. I mean, for me, at least, like, I know that not every month I'm going to have the same amount of business. So when I have more business certain months, I'm like, okay, I'm going to, try to save some of this now because I know that in 2 months I could have fewer clients or this kind of thing. So I think you kind of learn to go with the flow and understand that it's not always like up, up, up. It's sometimes a bit down, and then it kind of fluctuates.
You're going to say something, Jamala? Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that planning helps quite a lot because if you plan the work and how you're going to use the money well, it helps in the longer run, especially like times like the COVID and stuff when things are so unpredictable. But being an entrepreneur, be ready to kind of embrace and enjoy each of the emotion.
I have two questions. Maybe it's two parts, but there's one thing that a lot of people, when they start running their business, they're like, how do I get clients? And that involves a little bit of a self-promotion, networking, marketing. And if you've never done it, and like you, Alexis, you had to teach yourself, what would you tell someone who's just starting out how to go about that?
I guess it was a little different for when I had a clothing brand. That was like a lot of cold outreach, honestly, for like wholesale accounts and that kind of thing, where there was like the marketing for e-commerce. But when it comes to what I do now with the digital marketing, it's a lot of, I do a lot of networking, and that could be either online, like in networking groups on social media channels, or in person. And it's more long tail. It doesn't always become anything. Like, it could be a while before something comes from it. But I think just constantly growing your network and just having more people that you can talk to about what you do or share, and maybe they know someone and that person knows someone, or this kind of thing, I think is super important. I also, in some of those community groups that I'm a part of that would be online, I guess I would call it social listening. I do a lot of listening in terms of what people need. And sometimes I see what they post and they might be looking for something, and then I reach out to them. So I honestly, probably should do a bit more cold outreach when it comes to selling my services, but I focus more on things that are warm, or if I see people that need something, I just reach out to them. Because I think it's hard. I mean, you need to do sales, but I think sometimes it's hard to constantly be reaching out to people and you don't even really know what they need at the moment. It can get kind of discouraging, at least when you reach out to people that have already mentioned a need for what you do. It's a little easier.
It's a warm call. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is easier.
Yeah, but one thing that's been on my list for a while actually is that I need to do a bit more of the cold outreach, just to like, so people can learn who I am. It doesn't need to.
It's a balance.
Yeah, something doesn't need to come from it right away, but just more awareness, getting out there and mentioning to people what I do and what I can help them with. Yeah.
I'll go in on that one. You know what's really nice is when you do get ignored from all of these cold calls or ignored emails, and then people see how well you're doing, and then they want to react. And then you're like, yes, see, I did give you the opportunity. So
you were listening to me.
Yeah, and just planting seeds as well. That's how I did it. Just planting seeds and hoping that word of mouth is going to spread it. And also a little bit on social media, but it's more for me. It's being in person and being there in the moment as a real person on a level, and being natural and open. And I think that's how I've done it and built my community anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I think people ultimately they want to support you, like the human behind the brand or the company, and they buy from you.
That's something I've learned for sure. If you know yourself, you know your worth, you know what your capabilities are, people will come in on that.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that learning, like throughout the journey, so taking up a volunteering opportunities and stuff like that really, really helps to actually, it also promotes networking, but also is an opportunity to keep learning new things, to see how other businesses are functioning, how they network, how they get in contact with people and stuff like that. So,
Smart too.
Yeah.
If you're watching right now and we're talking about becoming a boss, it's part of our latest theme for Empower Amsterdam and Empowerment, which is new chapters. Just join the conversation, add a question, leave a comment. We want to hear from you. We want to answer any questions that you have if we can. I have another question, of course, because I'm full of questions. I'm using questions that have been asked of me. So I want to hear your feedback as well. When most people start their own business, it's marketing, it's knowing what to do with your finances. And I think it's a little bit of a trial and error there, because we talked already about maybe putting some money away. And we've also heard Justine say how nope, $200, that's it. That's all you need. You don't need anything. But what kind of advice would you give to someone that when things go bad, is that the time when you give up your business?
I think you need to have a little bit of patience to kind of pull through it and see that there is something on the other side. If there turns out to be nothing on the other side, then maybe you should think about how you can change. That's kind of what happened with my brand. I was like, this is just not worth it financially.
You have to go through the highs and lows.
Yeah.
You have to, otherwise you don't know and you will never learn and grow from it.
And believe in yourself and the business that you have, but at the same time having flexibility, because when we start with something, but we should be open enough to kind of tweak it as per the clients and the needs of the time.
Yeah. Being flexible with the business idea and how you operate. I think that's a big part of it. When things go bad, it's actually a sign that you need to pivot. Something that you did isn't working. So now's the time to try something new, or to look at a different target group, or to find out what's going on. Not necessarily time to quit, I think.
No.
Yeah.
I never want anyone to quit. Don't give up. Keep going.
Yeah.
Let's see. I have one more question, and then I think we're going to wrap it up. Unless anyone who's watching us, please feel free to share your questions or comments. We'd love to hear from you. Last-ish question. I think most of you have changed from one type of job to the next, and we talked just now about knowing when things are going bad, is that the time to quit? When is it time to quit? When is it time to give it up, move on to something else, try, this business isn't for you. Like you have the dating, Jamila, and Alexis, you have the clothing line, and Justine, you were a dancer. So you guys have completely said, I'm done with that part. I'm trying something new. How did you know this is it? We're done with that.
For me, it's not necessarily being done with it. It's just adapting and using the tools that you've learned along the way to adapt to create something that's yours, or something that is more inspiring and motivating for you. I think in terms of an employed job, it's very easy to say I'm done with it. And for me, my levels are I'm quite impatient when if I was working for an organization and I wasn't happy and there was no give, then it would be very easy for me to walk away. But in terms of when it's your own business, the patience, like you said, the patience is key, and to just be kind to yourself. I don't think it would necessarily be giving up. It would just be adapting in a different way, or if you're just not feeling it anymore, if you're not passionate about it anymore, then just let it happen naturally. I wouldn't force anything necessarily.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Alexis.
Okay, I was just going to say that I think there's like two sides. It's kind of like an emotional decision and then also logical in terms of like, okay, am I ever going to make money with this is one question, but then there's the emotional side. Like, am I still enjoying this? Is it making me like super stressed, or am I still like happy to get up every day and do it? Because I think when you have your own business, you have flexibility, but you also work. I work more than I worked when I worked a full-time job, although my schedule is way more flexible and I am okay with it because I can choose the time. But yeah, I think for me, there's the two parts. Like, do I still like it? And can I pay the bills? Basically. Yeah.
For me, it was like I tried to stretch it as much as possible, like trying all the things possible in that space, in the dating space. And after like 2 years, I realized that probably I have utilized all the resources that I had in this space. And if I want to run a business, it probably is not in this domain types. So that is when I decided to quit.
It was all. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say it was similar with my clothing brand as well. I did it for like maybe 3.5 years. Like, it was a while that I was working on, and I tried many different things, many different ways of selling. And in the end, it was just, you just kind of decide it's not working.
Yeah.
Last question. You guys all own your own business. Can you tell us, nice.
That was my bell. Sorry.
Okay. Can you tell us about your business and why and how people should get in touch with you?
Yeah. You want me to go first?
Go ahead, Alexis.
Let's go.
Okay. So I have a digital marketing company. It's just my name, Alexis Damon. And I offer a variety of different digital marketing services ranging from social media, email marketing, blogging, and partnerships, whether it's with influencers or other types of strategic partnerships. I'm focused more on sort of the organic side of marketing. I don't do any paid ads or that sort of thing. And you can find me. My website is just my first and last name, alexisdamon.com. And I guess also on LinkedIn, just look me up as Alexis. And I think my middle name is on there as well, Alexis Mira Damon. And that's it. And also, sorry, one more thing. This is sort of a side hustle now, I guess. I started an online magazine here in Amsterdam called Hustle Amsterdam. Because when I moved here from New York, it's about 10 months ago now. As a person who's self-employed, running my own business, working mostly from home or cafes and co-working places and that sort of thing, I needed a way to network and meet more people and just get in touch with other entrepreneurs and self-employed or freelance people here. So I started Hustle Amsterdam for that reason, which I think is kind of how I've now come to this live chat through Justine, who I interviewed. But yeah, so you can also find me there. I guess it's hustleamsterdam.com, and that's Hustle Amsterdam on Instagram at Hustle Amsterdam.
Nice. I was wondering if you were going to tell about the magazine.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I feel like I kind of blanked on talking about that. I guess because it's still sort of a side thing, but I am seeing actually a lot of opportunities for sort of selling some of my services through that, as well as eventually maybe like sponsorships and partnerships. But yeah, I'm kind of trying to take my time with it as well to, you know, not get overwhelmed and enjoy it as much as possible.
Yeah. Before you go on for 1 second, there's a comment here from Albert. I can't read it for some reason, Clarissa. Hi, Albert. Thanks for joining us. It's your dad. Hey, Dad.
Oh, geez. Yeah, hi, Dad. Hi, Dad.
Comparatively, you find Amsterdam and the Netherlands receptive on startups. Yeah, it's not like America, though.
I think you mean that they're not as open here to startups?
Yeah, they're not receptive as much to change. They say they're open.
Yeah.
They say they're that, but
the intention is there.
The intention is there. The intention is there, but I don't think they're that open as they think they are.
Dad. In terms of support for freelancers and self-employed, from what I see, it's definitely a huge community in Amsterdam.
Yeah.
I
think they do encourage. I mean, people to start up their own business. I do think. I mean, this is more about like taxes and that kind of thing, but it's a little more complicated here, I think, to set up than if you're just like when I was in the US. I just basically was an independent contractor. I didn't have to register as KPA or ZZPay or anything like that. I didn't officially have to like register a business when I was just consulting and freelancing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure yet actually how to answer that.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
No, I get it. Jamala, sorry, I cut you off.
No problem. So I've got two businesses. The main one is Schwan, which is a consultancy. It's got two parts. One is about process improvements, wherein I help customers to get good customer satisfaction scores. And if any of you have heard of Net Promoter Score, it is also like a customer rating system. So I help to get those scores high. The second part is kind of similar to Alex's, wherein I help with organic marketing, mainly creating marketing content and stuff like that for social media. But then I also help with offline content. And then I'm also a life coach. I'm certified neuro-linguistic programming life coach. I help people with stress management and motivation, personality development, and things like that. To be honest, that business more so helps me rather than other people, because it's like when I read of all those content, I help people. It's healing for me as well.
I have a question because you just made me think about something. Both of you, and I think Justine might too, but some of you have built on additional revenue streams. So you're not just looking at one way of either marketing yourself or getting revenue. Is that what you're? Well, I know that's very clear for Jamala, but for you, Alexis, is that kind of also how you're using Hustle Amsterdam?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it really is still kind of a side project. I'm seeing through working on it more that there are potentially ways that I can have it make money, and that it could be sort of a side thing, or maybe that would become my main thing. I'm not sure. It depends on where it goes. But a few of the entrepreneurs that I've interviewed have then come back to me and asked if they want to partner on something, or if we can cross something, or this kind of thing. So right now, I mean, I'm just trying to increase website traffic, get more users and readers. I'm thinking I'm staying in the direction of like online media. I tried to do a webinar, but I'm not really sure if that's the right direction. So I think I want to stick with just like main goal right now, just like increasing website traffic, getting more viewers and readers, and increasing my mailing list and that sort of thing. And then seeing what I can do from there, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's also a nice way to connect other entrepreneurs. That's definitely what I found from Hustle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been really cool also just to like read everyone's story and understand how they started and what they went through. And I have the same set of questions for everyone. So it's just, everyone answers the same thing. I can interview you too also.
It would be lovely.
Yeah.
We have a question from New. Thanks, New, for your question. What do you think about English-speaking entrepreneurs in the Netherlands? Do you think that limits your reach, or that is not a big deal? I personally think it's not a big deal.
Can I answer that?
Yeah, absolutely.
For me, because my business, when I initially started, I was actually looking at only the customer satisfaction thing. And that is where I realized that, okay, I don't know Dutch fluently, and I couldn't actually get customers to sign up with me because they wanted someone who knew Dutch as well as English, because the feedback and everything comes in both the languages. So I really struggled initially, but then thankfully by God's grace I've found some English speaking clients. But if you are in the space wherein you are going to work with customers, then yeah, probably language can be a
I think it depends on the type of business too.
Yeah,
It
For what
depends.
you're doing, definitely you probably need English and Dutch, but not everything.
No, not every business. No.
For me, my business is I'm interacting and it's all through movement, but I've definitely had some barriers where I don't speak Dutch, and that there's some doors that are closed straight away just because of that.
Yeah, I'm sorry, were you finished?
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay. I can work with clients anywhere, being digital. And I've looked around a bit in terms of getting clients here, and I'm in the Netherlands, and I've seen some openings or some opportunities where people want someone who's an English speaker. But actually, I don't have any clients here yet in the Netherlands. They're all either in the US. I have others in the EU, but none in the Netherlands. And I don't know necessarily. Obviously, the pool of companies that I could contact to potentially work with would be larger if I would speak Dutch. I am learning, but yeah, so I think it could be a challenge depending, but it's okay for me because I know I can get clients from other places, and actually some countries in the EU maybe want someone who's English speaking to help with something related to content or, writing articles and that kind of thing. So that's kind of been where I've fit in.
Yeah.
It's where the adapting comes back in. There's a
Exactly.
lot. Yeah.
I think also that where we are now, there's so much that we can do online. It's completely opened the door for a lot of companies and individuals where I know for some companies, if you're a freelancer, they still wanted you to come into the office. They didn't care that you just need a laptop or what have you. They still wanted you in the office. And now that is out the window, it's open opportunities that if you only speak English or you don't speak Dutch, you have more opportunities to grow your business outside of just the Netherlands or Amsterdam. And you're no longer limited to growing your business just where you live. You can go way beyond that.
Yeah,
true.
Justine, can you tell us what you do and how people can get in touch with you if they want to work with you?
Of course. I am the founder of the Jungle Body Amsterdam, which is a franchise from Australia. And it's a huge fitness dance inspired franchise, but it's non-existent in the Netherlands. So I brought it over here with the idea to originally just start off a few classes, and then it's developed into running a whole business and marketing myself, which I'm really enjoying. So the classes run across the city, and it's all about just losing yourself in the music and having a good time. That's where my influences come from my dance background, and just creating a space for people to just enjoy themselves and not have to overthink the movements. And we've got a really nice community together, and you can see more on Instagram at the Jungle Body Amsterdam, and also my website, thejunglebody.nl. Yeah.
I'm excited for that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to thank you guys. Sorry, I cut someone off.
No, good.
It's okay.
Sorry. I want to thank you guys for sharing your story today. I hope that we inspired people and gave them some encouragement to start their own company, their own business, or to just try something new. At Empower Amsterdam, we offer free coaching for people who are unemployed. And even if you're unemployed and starting your own business, we can provide some coaching for you to help you along the way. And please follow us on Facebook. If you're already watching this and you're already following us on Facebook, thank you. And we're also on Instagram on the same names, Empower Amsterdam, also on LinkedIn. And please, hope to hear from you soon and share your story. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Have a good night. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.